Fenric the Forgotten Wolf, and I'm going to tell you the story of my first audition. But before we get into that, hello, my name is Fenric. I am the Forgotten Wolf. I am a new furry and a new YouTube content creator. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the coffee donations. Thank you for the heartfelt comments. Thank you for the likes. And thank you for watching. It really means so much to me. I don't even know what to say. I am hugging you through the YouTube. All right. Okay. Do you want to know the story of my first audition? Well, of course you do. Why else would you still be watching? So, let's just dive right in, shall we? Now, the story of my first audition is actually an excerpt from my first live stream. And in that story, I mentioned that I didn't audition for anything else or do any more acting for 5 or 6 years. It turns out that the next thing I actually did was the first time I ended up being in front of a paying audience. Now, I had been on TV before because I was in this, folk singing group when I was a kid. Now that is a can of worms and a crazy road we can go down in maybe another video. The point is, life can be really crazy sometimes, including the story of my first audition, so here it is. So, all right, my first audition. So this is what happened. It's kind of a... okay. All right. This is what happened. So the movie On Golden Pond had just come out and was in cinemas. And at the same time, the local theater company in the small town in the Midwest where I lived at the time was going to do the play of On Golden Pond. Now, I was 11. I was 11 at this point in time. Now, if you don't know the movie On Golden Pond, it is based on a play. But the movie is like Katharine Hepburn, Henry Fonda, Jane Fonda plays the daughter, Dabney Coleman plays the love interest. But there's also a kid. And the kid is like 12, 13, 14, around somewhere around there, right? And so I was 11, so already was probably like a little too young to really play that role. But what had happened is I had been telling my mother that I wanted to get into acting. Now, I had been in a few things in like elementary school. In fact, I even wrote and starred in a musical about the sinking of the Titanic in elementary school. I didn't write the music. It was like pre-existing music, but I wrote the script and kind of married the script with the music and everything. And it's funny because, of course, years later, there was actually a Broadway musical about the sinking of the Titanic. But anyway, I digress. So I had been telling my mother for a while that, I thought I really wanted to try acting and get into acting. And so she, however, I don't know, somehow found out about this audition for On Golden Pond that the local theater company was doing. Now, she had already seen the film. And so she asked me, she's like, hey, there's this audition. They need a kid. I think you're about the right age. And she's like, let's go see the movie a bunch of times so you can kind of understand the character and the part. So I think we went to, I think my mom took me to see that movie like 3 times. And, I'm like, okay, this character is nothing like me because I was a complete nerd at 11 years old. Okay. I was sitting in my room programming in BASIC on my Commodore computer. I was not the streetwise, into girls obviously. I was not the streetwise into girls person that this character was. But anyway, we saw the movie like 3 times. And so we go to the audition. And I did really well in the reading, I think. But then like after I was done playing the scene, and there's like a lot of swearing actually in this play, and the kid does quite a lot of swearing, and I think which was totally taboo in my house. So that was like the first hurdle I had to get over. It was just like saying the swear words in the audition. But I managed to get through that, and it was fine. But then after like I played the scene, the director and the like other people that were making the casting decisions, they sort of like did this little interview thing where they would ask me questions about like not how I would play the character, but about myself. And of course, I was a total nerd and a total introvert then, much like I was until becoming a furry. And so I just totally bombed at that at that point. I mean, I like froze on stage and didn't even know how to answer the question when they were like asking like what I did for fun. Like I still don't even know how to answer that question other than like, being a furry, because outside of that, like what is fun? I don't know. But yeah, so I totally bombed at that part, and I thought, well, I did the audition really well. Maybe I'll get it. It was like one of those auditions that where like everybody got to watch everybody audition. It wasn't like a closed audition. So there was another kid that came after me that was, I think, maybe a grade or two ahead of me in school, and like I kind of knew of this kid, and I knew right away. I mean, he did not act the part as well as I did. Okay, I'm just saying he was not as good of an actor. But he was really that character. I mean, he just was that character, and I knew right away. I was like, oh, he's gonna get it. So anyway, anyway, he went after me, and he, kind of like really aced his little interview bit after. And so I'm thinking, oh well, he'll probably get it, whatever. And so, we're kind of getting ready to leave because they're done auditioning the Billies. I think the character's name was Billy Ray. They're done auditioning the Billies, and now they they were on to auditioning the people that were there to audition for Chelsea, which was the Jane Fonda role in the movie. You're all going to have to go watch on Golden Pond now. Actually, it's a really good movie. So the people that were there to audition for Chelsea, who's like the daughter of the old couple in the show, in the play. And so the director says to my mother, like, hey, why aren't you auditioning for Chelsea? And my mother is like, oh, no, no, no. I just brought my son here to audition. I'm not an actress. I don't do that. And he was like, oh, come on. You can do it. And like, I don't know, maybe he was trying to flirt with her or something. I don't know what the deal was. So, okay, she gets up there, she auditions for Chelsea, we go home. I figure that's going to be the end of it, right? So it takes them a while to make their decisions. I don't know, a week or two goes by, and I come home from school one day, and my mom's like sitting at the kitchen table, and she's like, sit down, son, I got to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. She's like, so they called from the theater company for on Golden Pond. So, and I immediately kind of get excited. I'm like, oh my God, did I get it? Right. And she's like, no, they don't want you. They didn't pick you. But they picked me. So yeah, I was so upset about that. I was like, oh, that's great, trying to be happy for my mom or whatever. Although she was crazy, but that's a whole nother video. I try to be happy for my mom, but like, so then like I go outside and I get on my bike and I ride around the block like 10 times to try to like, work off the steam that I built up for being so mad about it. But yeah, that was my first audition experience. My mom took me to an audition, wasn't going to audition herself. I did not get the part. She ended up auditioning and getting the part and being in the damn show. There you go. That's the story of my first audition. That scarred me mentally so much that I just didn't want to have anything to do with acting or theater for a long time. And it was like what 5 or 6 years later when I finally, like I said, 16 or 17 when I actually started my acting career. So there you go. The story of my first audition. Now I actually remember the show being darn good. The thing about it is, there's only a few characters, so, like, you don't get cast in something like that unless you can actually act. And so, my mother was actually pretty darn good, and so was the kid they had cast as Billy Ray. Now, do I, all these years later, regret not getting cast as Billy Ray in that show? Well, hell yes, I do. Oh my God, I would have loved to have played that role. And I probably could have played it better than the kid that they cast, but he did really look the part. And I remember my furry friends, my 11-year-old self, going to the final night cast party when the show closed. And I felt like everybody was having such a good time and sort of like reminiscing about doing the show. And, I kind of felt left out. So, okay, in that particular case, maybe I didn't get accepted into the pack. I am a lone wolf after all. But you know what? You know what you do? You pick yourself up, you move on, and you find another pack. I am staying wolfy, my furry friends.